Greetings, dear viewers, ladies and gentlemen. This is ABC World English News with me, Shfarao Lagawan. Please do stay with us as I take you through our selected brief updates for the hour. But first, the top stories. Private sector is dubbed vital to help improve human capital development in Ethiopia. And more than 110 killed in Israeli airstrikes on Khan Yunis in Gaza. Now, Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister of Ethiopia, Dammaqe Mokonnon, received at his office Irvin Masinga, the new ambassador of the United States of America to Ethiopia. The Deputy Prime Minister and the ambassador have exchanged views on bilateral and regional issues of common interest. In welcoming the ambassador, Dammaqe said that the ministry would provide him with the necessary support to deepen ties between the two countries. Ambassador Masinga, on his part, said that economic cooperation with the U.S. helps Ethiopia unlock its potential. The Chief of the General Staff of the Ethiopian National Defense Forces, Field Marshal General Birhanu Jula, welcomed this morning Lieutenant General Rudzani Mapwania, Chief of South African National Defense Force, who arrived in Addis Ababa to attend the 116th Ethiopian National Defense Forces Day. After welcoming his South African counterpart, Field Marshal General Birhanu Jula held discussion with the Chief of South African National Defense Force at his office. Ethiopian Defense Forces post on social media indicates their discussion aims to strengthen the existing military ties and cooperation between Ethiopia and South Africa. It is learned. On the occasion, Field Marshal General relations between Ethiopia and South Africa and their peoples have laid a strong foundation for their military cooperation that has been developing from time to time. The South African National Defense Chief, for his part, said Ethiopia is the founder of Pan-Africanism, which set an example for other African countries in fighting colonialism, pledging continued military cooperation between the two countries. Moving on, the Commissioner General of the Ethiopian Federal Police, Dammalash Gebremeikael, has received a delegation from Public Security Ministry of China led by Vice Minister Shu Datong at his office. Commissioner General Dammalash expressed gratitude to the government of China for its continued support to Ethiopian Federal Police in areas of education and training, among others. The commissioner reiterated police unwavering commitment in keeping China's investments in Ethiopia secure from any threat. He explained about police's indispensable role in maintaining peace and security of Addis Ababa, he described as the seat of various international and continental organizations. Vice Minister Shu Datong, for his part, expressed readiness of the China's Public Security Ministry to work hand in hand with the Ethiopian police in safeguarding Chinese development projects in Ethiopia. The Chinese delegation visited the reform activities being carried out by the federal police, appreciating the efforts underway to modernize the institution. Welcome back. Now, GIZ and iCapital Institute say private sectors can play unprecedented roles to improve human capital development in Africa. Talking to EBC World, they said further conflicts and continental problems have affected the role of private sectors in improving human capital development. Haptamu Ashagri reports.
The low level of human capital development in Africa needs collective efforts. Talking to ABC English, officials from GIZ and iCapital Institute said private sectors can play an unprecedented role to bring skilled workforce in higher education.
So as a TVET expert, I can say there cannot be any TVET, there cannot be any technical education or skills development without the private sector. From our point of view, the reforms that have been undergone the past years are a step into the right direction. It's a very difficult time. We have been going through a pandemic worldwide. The challenges are immense. Then the conflicts of the past years also have an impact on the private sector. We are aware of that.
And we have to also have a policy framework, regulatory frameworks that encourage active participation of the private sector as well as the employment sector, and also that engage actively the supply side. And when we talk about the supply side, we're not only referring to universities and TVET institutions. There are many other suppliers.
Solving enormous migration as well as other problems are vital to scrap socioeconomic complications in Africa, Gamicho underlined.
There is, enormous migration to other countries in search of opportunities, and so these huge, so there are, as they call it, the number is an opportunity if we know how we utilize the population. Otherwise, it's a ticking time bomb if we're not able to utilize it.
Ethiopia has organized the second Human Capital Development Conference to find ways to improve human capital development in Africa.
And finally, intensified Israeli airstrikes have killed more than 110 people in southern Gaza overnight. That's despite the release of 2 elderly Israeli women held hostage by Hamas for the past 2 weeks. Israel has now expanded its operation into the occupied West Bank as humanitarian conditions continue to worsen. Shagai Mata has more on that from TRT World.
The bombs keep dropping from the skies over Gaza. Civilians say Israel's onslaught is as merciless as it is relentless.
All countries must act to bring about ceasefire. We don't want aid, we want a ceasefire.
The casualties continue to multiply, with some entire families wiped out. Churches, hospitals and residential areas have been obliterated. Many of those that survived the initial blast die before they can receive medical aid.
There is a huge shortage of ambulance equipment and ambulance vehicles. We have a limited number of ambulances. More than 26 ambulances are out of service, and this has led to a huge shortage in the Gaza Strip.
But it is not all bad news for people caught up in the conflict. 2 Israeli hostages were released by Hamas on late Monday evening. The news was met with relief and elation by family members.
We are very emotional and happy of the formal announcement that my grandmother, Yocheved Lifshitz, and Nurit Cooper, both of them from Kibbutz Nir Oz, are coming back to us due to a humanitarian act. And I'm very excited as we all are here expecting them and expecting more improvements to all of the captives from our kibbutz.
A total of 4 hostages have been released so far by Hamas for what the group says are humanitarian reasons. But Israel says it's only due to pressure from its military campaign. That is why Israel continues to insist it won't negotiate for the release of hostages. And instead, it's now expanding the military operation into the occupied West Bank. Local media say Israeli units have stormed areas near Ramallah, Jenin, and Nablus and arrested more than 40 people. But it is the air campaign in Gaza that is now enveloped the entire territory. Khan Yunus in the south, where Palestinians have fled from northern Gaza, is now the focus of the bombings, and Israel's refusal to consider a ceasefire means the death toll will continue to rise.
Well, viewers, that's all the news there is for now. Thanks a lot for watching us. Bye-bye.